Morning, good afternoon, and for some of you, good evening, and welcome to the latest in the series of AGIF Sustainability webinars in 2021. My name is Eric Lynch, and I'm the CEO of the Asian Golf Industry Federation, also known as the AGIF. The AGIF holds frequent webinars and seminars where we deliver education, insights, and intelligence on turf and club management with industry leaders. Our mission is to supply career and industry building information to professionals in Asia and the rest of the world. We have a great lineup of speakers generously willing to share their time and expertise with us. In this session, we are especially fortunate to have Sir Nick Faldo to share his experience with us, and he has graciously invited his longtime caddy and friend, Fanny Sunesson, to join him in a wide-ranging interview on their successful partnership and ongoing friendship. We're also able to conduct a separate interview with Sir Nick on his design philosophy, which will be a separate webinar, which we'll be able to broadcast in the coming weeks. We'd like to thank AGIF founding board member, Mr. Mark Adams of Faldo Design, and current AGIF board member, Adam Calver of Laguna Langco Resort, and Sir Nick Faldo Signature Design in Hue, Vietnam, for arranging this interview with Sir Nick. On to the good stuff. Our Chief Communication Officer, Spencer Robinson, sat down with Sir Nick and Fanny and conducted this wide-ranging interview. Please enjoy.
Thank you, and a very, very warm welcome today to Sir Nick Faldo and Fanny Sunesson, the most recognizable player-caddie partnership of the 1990s and arguably of all time. More than 20 years on from those halcyon days, you're both seen as trailblazers and role models. What were the qualities that initially attracted you to each other to form a working relationship? Perhaps, Sir Nick, I can get you to start with that one.
Yeah, well, I met Fanny in kind of late 80s. She actually caddied for me for 9 holes at Glen Eagles, and then by the end of the 80s, actually that year, 89, you know, I was you know, it's all about communication. So my communication wasn't great with my caddy at that time, and I was playing with Howard Clark, and Fanny was on his bag, and I thought he was giving her a rough time. So I you know, I'd watched her work and heard her reputation, and then we were down in Australia, and I'd thought about it, and it's funny, we were coming back from we went to an Annie Lennox concert at Melbourne Cricket Ground, late 89 this is, and I said, hey, I'm going to splash out and buy you dinner. So I bought a spaghetti bolognese. So, and I said, I want you to caddy for me next year. And so Fanny says, oh yeah, I'll think about it. You know, so what's the schedule? And says, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And I literally came in with a foolscap piece of paper. Right, that's the season. And yeah, that was really it. Yeah, I said, well, that's the season, girl. We're off. I said, so I'm going to meet you in Florida. So we went. I was staying at Lake Nona. I didn't have a property then, and so I was rooming there. Fanny was at the Marriott down the road, and that's how we started. You know, I was beating balls with lead, and then we would go out and power walk in the evenings, and we were kind of getting ourselves ready, and then. I'd forgotten, and Fanny reminded me. Then we actually went all the way to Australia to start, yeah. And that's how we started. And you know, and then the rest of it's pretty amazing how it all happened so quickly. And then obviously the Masters, I'll say that's a whole nother story. But I'll let Fanny go at how we started. If I've missed anything.
Yeah, no, we'll come back to the Masters and the Open. Fanny, are your recollections similar of when you first met Sir Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it was a shock, obviously, when he asked me. I mean, he was #1 at the time. He had won 5 tournaments that year. I mean, I knew him. I mean, obviously, I thought he was always nice and fun, and when he asked me, I just couldn't believe it. I ran all the way from the nice players hotel to my little caddy hotel, and I picked up the phone, and really, you couldn't make a phone call. It was so expensive at that time, but I called straight home, and my dad answered, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to caddy for Nick Faldo. And And I didn't believe it until I sat on the plane, and I came to UK, and I was in a taxi driving through the door, and I met Nick at home first for a night, and then we flew out together. So that's and it was amazing. I mean, to work with him, and that we fit together that well. I mean, we're both perfectionists. It was like a dream come true, and so lucky to get the chance, and great fun. And Nick now is a close friend of mine, and we became good friends, and we still are. And I had an amazing time caddying for him.
Wonderful. A lot of people have asked me, Fanny, just to get a bit of background about you, because I believe you were quite an accomplished golfer yourself. So what on earth inspired you to get into caddying? And I guess, did you see it as a long-term career option?
No, I was going to go to college in the States, and I had hurt my knee. So I had like a gap year. I wanted to become a pro myself, and I had watched a tournament on the European Tour, the Scandinavian Enterprise Open, and I met some of the caddies there, and a friend of mine caddied locally, like a local caddy for the week, and he said, well, why don't you caddy next year? So I thought, well, it's a good way of learning what the pros were doing inside the ropes, and then I got the gap year, and when I caddied, the guy said, well, why don't you come out in Europe? So I did. That's a whole other story. That's a long story as well. But I only planned to do it for a year max. To do it for a year, see Europe, learn for my own golf, and I ended up doing it for 25. Loved it. And I haven't regretted it at all.
Well, were there any other female caddies on the European Tour at that time?
No, I don't think there was at that time. There was a couple of girls that were out now and then.
Your friend,
my friend Vivica came out.
Yeah, she did a little bit, didn't
87. I went out 86. Yeah, she did. Okay. I mean, she did 3 years. She caddied for 2 years. Then she did the yardage books. And then she finished when I started with uni. So she was out. So we were two giggling teenagers, basically traveling, staying together, and working for 3 years. But she didn't come out when I started. She came out the year after.
Fabulous. So Nick, you'd already won 2 majors by the time you employed Fanny.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. What was the general reaction of your peers and the media and the fans that you were employing a female caddy?
Absolutely 100% truthful. We didn't know, or didn't. It was big. It wasn't. I won't even say didn't care, because we just didn't know. We got on with it, as simple as that. I didn't see any fuss at all. I wasn't making any statement, because now, 30 years later, it will be a major statement. But then it was at zero. In my mind, zero. It was this lady's a very good caddy. We got on great, and I thought it'd be good for me. As simple as that. And boy, as we knew, we were like the bow of the ship, and we were going, doing our thing, and the waves behind us, everywhere was chitter chatter behind us, or what it was all, but boy, if there was any doubters, we had the most incredible, flying starts. It was amazing. It was great. Well, it's amazing when you think back what we did, and to come storming out, and and I win. Obviously, we go to the Masters, which was a great story. It ended up being, it was really difficult time. Different times and difficult times compared to now. Just life on the road for the caddies was really different. And even at our level, I look back and think, well, what level of hotels we started at and that sort of thing. So, your caddies across Europe was some amazing stories, how they used to travel and where they used to stay and all that sort of thing. So, and it was a real character job back then. It was more about the characters of being a caddy, and I'm sure Fanny was part of that, changing it into a professional, really professional job, and doing a professional job. So, the Masters, I'm going to defend, and it was the first time Fanny had ever been there. And then I learned only last year on another one of these Zooms, the first time she ever saw Augusta. I hadn't even seen it on TV. So, but in the bottom line, it ended up being very good for me because, we're very visual, and when you're going in trying to defend, obviously, a major, there's a lot going on, and it really did help my focus because on the golf course, she's not only got to do the yardages because that came in a book in the old days. And if you wanted anything extra, you had to do it. So she's got a bag with all the stuff. We had the pedometer, the architect's wheel pedometer, which we called the wheel. And so you've got to push that and double check yardages while you're only allowed on the golf course while your player was practicing. So really difficult. So, but it was probably good for me because I'm saying, well, I want to do this and I don't want to do that. I've got to go here, mustn't go there, blah, blah, blah. So it was probably that was all. And then I can't imagine the rush of, there you are 3 months later and then suddenly we're involved in a playoff. Because it's great. I saw some old footage. CBS put some old, not the golf shots, but as just walking and standing on the tee of the playoff. And you can see your heads, your eyes are completely in a, like, what the heck is going on here? And it's like, we both got to do your thing. You're doing your thing, but wondering what is going. This is very different. So it's quite cool to see that because I could recognize the look on our faces. And, then 20 minutes later, I've won the Masters. So that I'll stop and let Fanny tell her side of the story.
Yeah. Now, did you feel, Fanny, that you were breaking new ground and breaking down barriers in such a male-dominated area?
No, it's just like Nick was saying. I didn't think about it. I was a girl, I'd never been a guy, so I didn't know the difference. It's, to me, I was a caddy. The only time I thought about it was when I was going to start, because it was almost that I wouldn't get a start because I was a girl. So I had to work hard. But no, I didn't think about it. The only times I had to think about it was when I couldn't go in the locker room, or if I at Augusta, the locker room was, everyone changed in the same place, but they changed that the following year. So to me, same as Nick, I didn't think about it. I think I got, we both got noticed for it, but no, I just did my job and I loved doing what I did. And I think that my colleagues probably respected me for what I did, not for if I was a girl or a guy.
So when you first got the job, just going back a little bit, when you first got the job, what was the reaction of the other tour caddies? Weren't they very jealous or resentful that you've got the #1 player in the world and what the prize job?
Yeah, I'm sure it was that. I'm sure some were jealous, and of course it was it was the best player in the world, and a great player, obviously, great person. So I'm sure there was some of that. But as Nick said, we started in Florida. We were at Ledbetter's for 5 days, then we went to Australia, then we went to the States, I think, and then we came to Dubai, did we? I think. I'm not sure. I think,
really? We did Dubai?
Yeah.
My goodness, yeah.
I think that was the first time in Europe, which is where I had done most of my caddying. So they had known for quite, for all that spring. So I don't think I really noticed anything. And if anyone talked about it, they didn't tell me directly. So I didn't have a problem. I just did my job, and I was very lucky and I worked hard.
And what was the story about the boiler suits, the white boiler suits that they wear at Augusta, the caddies? They just say they'd never had any female ones, right?
No, I think Ken Green's sister might have caddied before me, but yeah, it didn't really fit my curves, if I say so. So it was more made for a man, someone without hips, and so I ended up having I had to have a larger suit, and because of that, I put a belt on, and I had to turn both the sleeves and the
Roll the
the
legs up.
trousers up.
Yeah.
I rolled the legs up, and so I sort of did I made it so it fit. But it was okay, you know. If it's one place where you put a boiler suit on and it's okay, it's Augusta. But I've worn more comfortable things, that's for sure. But they made me. After that, Augusta, I mean, they are an amazing play. You know, the club is amazing. They made a locker room especially for girls. There was two places, and they also made sure that I had a suit that fitted better anyway. So they did everything they could to make me be comfortable.
Can you both give us a little bit of insight of, you mentioned, Sir Nick, about the differences now between now and when you were playing back then and the roles of the caddies. Well, what were the basic tasks for a caddy to do? Obviously, turn up on time, make sure there's 14 clubs in the bag.
Yeah.
What were the other everyday jobs that you had to do, for example, that week at Augusta?
Or that particular week at Augusta? Well, you know, you're actually very limited. As I said, you know, the caddy is not allowed to walk on the golf course on there at all. So, you know, it's actually, and now in the old days we had the silk crumbs. I would arrive, as you know, there's the two clubhouses. There's the main clubhouse, the champions locker room, then you have the lower level. So I would obviously been in the lower level. No, I wouldn't. I'd be in champions locker room. Of course, I'm defending. Yeah. So, gosh, I'm trying to think. It was the back car park. It was easy. So I think Fanny would probably meet me at the car park. Yeah. Yeah, up the side there. Yeah, the car park was up the side, left-hand side of the range. So she literally would arrive. She'd collect the clubs and everything, and he'd just walk through the bushes to the range. I'd probably go to the clubhouse, change shoes or whatever, or maybe I'd come straight onto the range. We always practice in the corner by the wall. It was kind of like my favorite spot. And wow, and then you'd cross the road and go and do some chipping. We'd go into the chipping green, you go around the corner to the putting green, and wow, and there's the first tee. So that was all we had and all we did, you know. And you know, I could go into the clubhouse for some food, which I would do. If we had a quick break, I'd go and get something, or Fanny would go back to the where was your caddy shack? It was still at the top of the car park, was it?
The caddy shack was it was closer. It was where the tournament office was. Then they moved it back.
Yeah,
and now it's on the range. So they had a.
So you you actually operated. That's what made the Augusta National so nice. You operate in such a small little area, and off you go. You know, the rhythm around the clubhouses, but that's all you're allowed to do, and so that's all we did. Simple, you know. It was actually, I mean, it keeps it simple, and you know, and I had a routine. Generally, I'd come in like an hour and 20 before. We kind of suit up, sort of thing. Go and putt. I used to go love putting first for a little while, and then you go back to the range, do that loop, and then boof, and off you'd go. So it kept it very productive, you know. I guess you got on with it.
And did you normally go and practice after the round as well?
Yeah, sure. We'd normally go and I'd always go and hit another bucket of balls or something, generally. Go and do something like that. And then you'd head home, put your feet up. Yeah.
So tough days, Fanny, for a caddy there, with the undulations on the course and the heavy golf bag. And one of the questions I've been asked again is, what exactly was in Sir Nick's bag, apart from obviously the golf balls and the clubs? Well, what else did you have to make sure was there for every round?
Well, I mean, obviously it depended a little bit on weather, but Nick had a lot of golf gloves because he was so special. You know, he had the best feel. So even the best golf gloves were different. So remember, Nick, you had thick ones, he had thinner
Practice ones, yeah.
practice ones, and whereas most players might have 2 or 3 gloves, and they just have, or maybe more, but they have a few gloves that they take one out of the packet and they wear it, and then they might give it to a kid at the end of the round. Nick wore his ones in, so we actually had an Augusta bag, a white plastic Augusta
You're right.
bag.
I still got them. I still use my Augusta bag. It's the coolest thing.
And you had lots.
Had what?
You had lots of gloves, but I mean,
no,
so
I still. It's so funny. I still do. Even now, my bag now, I've got. And what I do, I would wear it. She said I would wear a glove, and the thumb had to fit perfect. That was, if it didn't fit, it never made the bag. So the thumb fitted, and then I would use them. I might play 6 holes with a glove, and then suddenly realize, oh, this is a good one, and I'd fold it inside out. So I knew that was a tournament glove. So that used to go into the tournament bag. And I was a big believer in that, because if you grab a glove, I watch the guys on tour do it now. They need a new glove on the 15th, and you're leading a tournament, and you put a brand new glove on, and I'm thinking, I couldn't do that. It would fit. It hasn't been broken in. You can put some gloves on with it. Some gloves are terrible. Some are, the thumb's enormous, and others it's too tight and it crushes your palm. And hey, that was one of my pernickety things. I don't even play tournaments, and I still do that now. I fold my gloves inside out. Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, when it's cold, the hands get smaller, and vice versa.
Yeah,
so
bigger. Yeah, you're right.
Sizes as well. So we had lots of gloves in there, and then. Normally, I mean, my job wasn't just to stand on the range. My job before the round was, at Augusta especially, I walked around all 18 holes first to look where the pins were, and just to see what the greens were doing and things. So I had already walked on the course.
Remember, you got to tell, but that's outside the ropes. You're not allowed on the green.
Outside. Exactly.
You can just look across. You can only look across. You can't walk across the green. So it was very, very.
Did you not have a pin sheet though? Did they not hand out pin sheets?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a pin sheet, but I mean, if you say on the 3rd hole, the par 4 uphill, and the pin is on the left, you have no idea if it's 3 on or if it's 6 on, and it's a big difference. Some of the holes you really want to see.
I love what Lindsay's just done.
She's come out
to prove. Oh, look, to prove it's all about golf gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. I
keep throwing them out, and they keep coming back.
They keep coming back. It's that.
That's the practice. You can't. You can't throw them out without asking.
I can't. He has bags and bags. You wouldn't know.
It's synchronized.
He's a hoarder.
So I've got a system. Like I wear them, and there's a signing bag. So once they've been worn, and so there's a sign bag. There's a practice bag, and there's a tournament bag still. And I don't play any tournaments.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
So,
how many golf balls did you start each round with in the bag?
Between 9 and 11. We normally had 11 balls in, but sometimes 9. But always minimum 9, and very rarely more than 11.
Yeah.
Did you change the Nick out after a birdie, or what was your thought process on?
No, well, again, back in that day, you almost felt like a golf ball for our level. Probably not true, but they said it might only last 3 holes. We would go out of shape. Back in the day, we carried a ring gauge. When the day I turned professional, and I've still got it, it's in my drawer. The day I turned professional, I was at Titleist, and they gave me a ring gauge, which was 1.682, 0.02 of an inch bigger than 1.68. And they said a ball's just sitting there and spin. And sure enough, you'd put one in, it'd be like a egg, it wouldn't go in. So we used to get, back in that day, a ball that was too big, and then you might hit one. What's that?
Quite often.
Yeah, exactly.
It was too big, it wouldn't go through.
There would, even the best brands, there might be one one or two that you didn't like. It's stuck. If a ball's turning and it sticks a certain way, you think, well, it's not perfectly round, so that one disappeared and that sort of thing. And yeah, you quite often might whack one with a wedge or something, and we might either check it on the course or you could just see. And yeah, again, in the old days, the cover, you know,
they wore out. They wore out lots.
We could hit a ball once. You could play a ball on a wedge hole and rip it, and you'd just taken a chunk out. You know, it's just got groove lines, and actually it would shred the cover. So yes, some might be a one-hit wonder. Some might last one hole. So you know, completely different to now. You can play 18 holes with one ball now. You don't even notice that. So yeah, that was all part of it. We didn't have an awful lot of other things. I mean, back in those days, it was the banana time. You lived on bananas on the golf course. We probably elevated to banana peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah,
you know,
I always Augusta. I always made peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah,
peanut. Sorry, I made peanut butter and banana sandwiches for Augusta always, and then banana.
Yeah.
That was my job as a caddy, to find bananas all over the world.
Yeah, so that was exactly. So that was
nuts.
So you got to tell the banana story then in Japan.
I think it was Singapore.
Singapore. You tell
what
it.
happened?
Well, I'll tell. I ended up and I wasn't joking when I said I was buying bananas all over the world, because that was, you know, sometimes they had bananas on the first tee, but they were sometimes they didn't. So I couldn't trust. Sometimes they were no good. So I always bought my own and brought them. So I'm in Singapore and I bought these small, tiny bananas, but then I found this, I think it's called Platina, the biggest banana I've ever seen. I mean, it was this big, honestly, heavy.
Weighed 3 pounds of banana.
Yeah, so I thought, I'll have a laugh with Nick now. So I put that in the bag, but it was so heavy. So I mean, I think on the fourth hole, normally he probably had a banana halfway around, but I think on the fourth hole, I'm like, do you want a banana? He's like, no.
And then on the fifth hole, do you show you a banana? I said, no, I'm fine. Sixth hole, I think you should have a banana about now. I said, no, I'm fine. And then finally, she opens up this bloody thing. It's a scaled down version of the golf bag. It was this. So poor thing has been carrying this thing. So we had to. It lasted a week. So that was one silly story. Yeah. So
lovely. How physically demanding, Fanny, was it, particularly at Augusta?
Very.
Because it's not just the 4 rounds, there's the practice rounds, there's the par 3, or there's the whole week, everything you're doing there. How did you prepare yourself physically for such a demanding week?
Well, I was pretty fit and I was fairly strong. So I just did my job. You know, I just did what I had to do. I mean, at that time when we started, I didn't do any.
No, we didn't know about that.
Not much.
Yeah.
No, you didn't know. I mean, not any exercise apart from that, because I was at the golf course. Remember when, you know, before I saw Nick practice, then I walked the course. So I walked the course twice. I didn't walk, 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't walk it that way, but I did like a really good route but I still walked the whole course first. And, but, just being there, I think I didn't think of it. The only thing about Augusta for me was I always got shin splints, because walking downhill from the hills and a heavy bag. So I could be in agony in the evening, but it's things you take. It was worth it. But yeah, you slept well at night, that's for sure.
Well, one final question on Augusta that year, Nick and Fanny. I think you were playing with Jack Nicklaus, right, in the final round.
Yeah.
And somebody told me a lovely story that, you show each other the ball on the first.
The ball story, yeah.
Can you tell us that one?
No, yeah, because in the good old days, you went to the first tee, and so I said to Jack, I'm playing Titleist 1, and Jack looks at me and says, I'm playing Titleist 1. So there's
And then I
like
said,
this.
we play reds. That's okay. We play reds. I thought that's okay. We should
Yeah,
stick
so
with
he
our
played-
red ones.
But he was a red one as well. That was 90 compression in those days. 90. They made a 90 and 100, so he played the red one. And so it was like, I'm playing a one, Jack, and then finally I go, all right, well, we're player 4. And so Fanny was really pissed off. You're defending champion. He should have changed ball. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, I don't know. It didn't work. So because I took 6 up the first, God, I hit it in the bunker, knocked it out, knocked it on the green, 3 putted. So I guess we changed ball after that quick. I assume. Yeah. So.
And of course, just a few months later, it was on to St Andrews, I think, right? And that was another
again that was amazing. Because we're at the US Open at Medina, and I missed. But to cut long story short, I hit the hole to tie, and I vowed to myself. So I was in a really good state of mind, very determined state of mind, and went to St Andrews, and we went to Glen Eagles a week before. Oh, that was funny. So yes, we forget this. So Fanny's brand new, going to all these places with me for the first time. So we went to Glen Eagles, and we went out on the Queen's course, on the other course, to practice quietly because we could get away. Because we loved practicing on the course. That's because in those days, you had your own shag bag. You had your practice bag. So you disappeared out and found a spot. And so we're hitting balls. I don't know what, maybe I'm trying to practice woods or drivers, or, that sort of thing. And there was a little halfway house out there. So we stopped for some lunch. And so we get a burger or something for lunch. And Fanny picks up our English Coleman's mustard. Which you only put you put this much on. You put a little corner of a teaspoon on the side of your plate, and you just dab your meat onto that, and it's powerful. And so she's come from America. So she's come from America, where you take your yellow mustard and go all over everything. So I'm sitting there watching, taking this mustard and putting it all over a burger.
I even asked. I said, "Is this strong?" And you went,
"Is it strong?"
No,
I went,
and then looked
fine.
away.
Yeah. So she's going like this. And then, so of course I guess that was the proof. We were like brother and sister. How you'd always do something to your brother or sister just to get them to play silly tricks. So anyway, yeah. So hey, bottom line, I remember that, and in those days the tournament finished on the Saturday, didn't it? And we drove over that straight away that evening. Yeah. And we even, because I remember falling asleep, and I woke up, and then boom, there was St Andrews. I thought that was very nice. Did we even go and practice that evening? I think we did. I think we went. I got a feeling we went out and we came in at 9:30. We just wanted to go and play a few holes. I remember coming down. I remember that because I'd just been to see Phil Collins, and I had a Phil Collins cap, and I was wearing my Phil Collins cap. How about that for memory? Whatever. And then, so I'm sure we went out even that night, Saturday night, and then started practicing. And
we had practiced long putts since French Open, because one thing is that at St Andrews there's huge greens, and however well you're playing, you're going to get some really long putts that you're not used to. So we had practiced long putts for I think about a month, where I put the tee down the edge of the putting green, and then I put balls on the other side, and we putted. We practiced for that. So we had already practiced that for
40, 50 yard putts. I remember that we went to Paris. I remember that in France, we looked at his putting green, big, long, white. So this is perfect. So we were practicing 20, 30, 40 yard putts, not even foot. And I felt good. I was obviously hitting it great. My iron shots were really good, and you know, I only missed like one green, and apart from 17, where you would intentionally miss the green. Okay, didn't I believe we might? You know, you would just for safety, just to get away from that bunker. I think I literally. I mean, I hit it in one bush, didn't I, all week, and I missed the 4th green on the final day. I mean, literally didn't hit. My putting was a joke. Amazing. My putting was. I don't remember missing inside 20 feet. How about that? You know, and obviously we had the great battle with Greg, and you know, and then we had another fun moment on Sundays, because I've got 5-shot lead and I'm steaming along, and then slowly it starts coming down a little bit. Payne Stewart was then got within 2 of me. And so we hit it off the 14th, and we're charging down the 14th. And then Fanny starts, she goes, "Are you thinking of getting a dog?" So I'm laughing, thinking, I know why she's doing this, is to kind of take my mind. And actually, I was always the opposite. I used to say to, "No, I'm all right. Let's just talk golf. We're fine." You know, all these psychologists say, "Oh, you've got to let it go, and in between the shots, talk of anything." I wasn't like, I could stay in golf mode, and I like to stay in golf mode. That was kind of me. So, and and then by the time I had a great shot into 15, which kind of sealed it up. And then, as I said, we were able to enjoy the walk at 18. That was cool. And I said, "Hey, look around. You may not know. Normally, if you're head down, well, my other majors is all head down. So to finally stay, and you know, those pictures which are great, because you see them now, and they're 30 years old, and it's really cool to see you're right in the middle of all of that. It's amazing. Hey, I've got to ask you, Fanny, because it's so funny. I was sitting. I'm doing meditation now for my commentary now. You know, to be a better.
That's what I should start.
Yeah. No, I'm actually doing meditation for that, so you can speak clearly and confidently and all this sort of stuff. But it's so funny. I sit and I've obviously got my trophy cabinet, and I looked across, and it was so weird because I saw this man, which was me, walking in front of me. He was only this big, this man, and just green grass, nothing else. And it was me as a golfer. And I thought, I'm now, because it's 30 years on, I'm now separate. It feels like I'm separated from it. That was Nick Faldo, golfer, and this is Nick Faldo now. And it's, wow, with 30 years, half your life. Very weird feeling, like I'm looking at this guy and going, "Oh, wow, look at him." And really from the outside, I don't know whether because it's 30 years on, it's a blimmin' long time in our lives. It's actually 30 years is more than half your life right now, because you're 10 years younger than me. So I don't know if you experienced anything. Well, that was me, Fanny Sunesson, the caddy, and now look at you now. I don't know if you felt anything. Or
yeah, I actually have, because I can think of it now when I commentate as well, and I actually got sort of similar feeling that, gee, that was me with Nick.
Yeah.
Like that. And now, I mean, because you and I are both in the golf scene as commentators now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that we did what we are now talking about. We did that. And it's sort of, I can absolutely understand that.
Yeah, it was like,
because I thought of it just not long ago.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It was like, when you watch, it's like there they are getting on with it. They're doing their thing. That's the image I go, "Oh, look, there's me doing my thing," but completely separated. It was weird. It was kind of like you know, as time goes by. I mean, I guess. Anyway, we digress for a second.
Fantastic memories. Before we finish up, I have to ask you. You both spent quite a lot of time in Asia. So Nick winning tournaments, playing here. Fanny caddying at lovely Singapore. And just tell us, for all our members here in Asia and everyone watching this, how did the galleries behave and were different in Asia compared to what it was like in Europe and America in those days, with the cameras and the excitement. So Nick, how did you find it?
Well, we loved it. We loved it. We traveled. We traveled the world. I used to play 28 tournaments or something like that. And Fanny came to, do you realize we play 16 tournaments with a minimum of a 5-hour time change? So it's unbelievable what we did. Now you played, finished. I don't know how we did it. When I look, to play 4 days, which is not 4 days, it's 6 days, at that level. And, and the sponsor wants everything, wants you to do all your corporate stuff, kiss the baby and win the tournament as well. And then you jumped on then you jump on a plane Sunday night, fly halfway around the world, goodness knows where. And then we were crazy. We'd fly to Australia and it'd be like, oh yeah, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's go to the practice ground. And, and you go down and off you go again and you practice and pro-ams and play the tournament Sunday night. Oh, where are we now? Up to Hong Kong, woof, and off you go again. And it's unbelievable what we did.
And I always wanted to walk the course. I always wanted to walk the course before.
Yeah. And what we crammed into a week doesn't make sense to me now. It's like, oh, you want to arrive and have a couple of days and day off from traveling. No, none of that. So anyway, we traveled a lot in Asia. We did all sorts of, everything from Thailand to, obviously played Singapore, we played in China, we played in Japan. I mean, the funny one was, Japanese galleries were funny because if you gave them an instruction, they got it all wrong. So Fanny's go, stand still. So one person would move, go stand still, and they'd all go, whoa. So they'd all then sit down, they'd all squat. And we go, no, we don't want. And if we just say stand, then they would creep to get out of the way. We go, no, just stand still. Couldn't get it to happen. So, so it was, God, we were paving the way again in some of the things we were doing, and dragging. And if you're popular, you dragged 20 or 30 photographers in those days with you, and they all came inside the ropes. And you had to get them all sorted out before you could. So, boy, we did it was a paving the way era. As we said, we go into practice grounds and getting golf balls on the range was huge. And then getting water. I campaigned for years just to get water on the golf course, all sorts of things like that. It was, the modern generation owes us a big thanks to what the fact that they jump on private, they've got private planes, tournament puts on a plane, you arrive. I thought it was so funny. I went with the guys with TV. I jumped on the charter to go to 2 tournaments, and they arrive and there was 12 Cadillacs SUVs lined up with the GPS set of the hotel. So they just put their clubs in the back, press the button and drive. Now, when we used to arrive, like, well, where the hell are we going? Well, we're in so-and-so hotel. You got to, and there's no cabs around. So what the hell do we do? I mean, that's where
no mobile.
Again, how did you operate on a, I'm flying across the world. I'll be there tomorrow evening. You put the phone down, that was it. And then the other person went to the airport and assumed you had made all the connections. And if you hadn't, you had no way of knowing. I bowled up one tournament, 12 hours late, because they thought you were coming, or day. I arrived 12 hours late, and you walk in there and you expect to have somebody waiting to greet you, and they take you off to a tournament site. You have no idea where you're going. Absolutely no. It was really, we were either stupid or very brave, somewhere between the two.
Fanny, to finish off, any other banana stories or nice memories from Asia and the galleries here?
I mean, I think it was nice because there was a lot of people, but with the language barrier was difficult. So it was, like in Japan, everyone is so polite, and it was tough to say something and be stern because you wanted to be polite, but you couldn't be. So I tried to learn a couple of words to stand still or thank you in the language. But no, it was always very nice to be to travel, and Asia, I loved it. Great great countries, great golf courses, interesting with different grass, and loved the fruit. So it was, it was nice. Got to see a lot of wildlife on golf courses as well. I loved, when we traveled, obviously, when I arrived, I had to go and look at the golf course because I wanted to see the golf course. And, like really lovely moments would be early in the morning, almost on my own on the golf course, and look at the golf course, but also see the countryside outside and the animal life. And I mean, I've been so fortunate to work with Nick and to travel, and like he's talking about how crazy it was. It really was. I mean, I'm so happy I've done it. I'm so happy.
Oh yeah, it was a great area, but yeah, we
different.
As I say, I think you burnt your golfing batteries down because it was obviously way more difficult to play the tour internationally the way we did. Boy, when we were ridiculously strong, ridiculous. Now, obviously I'm twice the age, but you just fly once across the world and then deal with a time change, let alone go out and try and practice and play and win a tournament and jump and do that for a month. Month on the road was unbelievable.
And it was different because at that time it was very unusual. I mean, in the beginning, it was no one that had a physio out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember in Switzerland one year, you had your back out, and I ended up manipulating your back so you could play.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was no one at hand, and luckily I had learned that from someone, so I could do it. But I mean, that was the way it was. And like you said, Nick,
I think you should have taken your golf shoes off when you walked down my back.
I should have done.
I've still got the spike holes in mine.
So Nick,
I did that as a sister.
Yeah.
So Nick, final word from you on Fanny, and what a pioneer she has been for golf as you look back now.
Yeah.
Incredible that she achieved what she did. I think the first female to caddy for a male major champion, and a real trailblazer and a role model for women.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's not many caddies with 4 majors. Simple as that. And and what we did and how we did it, and to be, Fanny's contribution to the game of golf now for 30 plus years. I'm campaigning. I've already asked them. I said there should be a position for her and some other caddies in the official Hall of Fame, not just the Caddie Hall of Fame. I think her contribution to the game of golf is a fantastic example, because this is the great thing about our game, how you can come in at different levels. You came in as a caddy, or came in before, as a player, wants to be a player, but then goes to the caddy road, and then she's been involved in the training of physical, technical, psychology side as well, and now we're involved in broadcasting, same as me. So hey, we're very fortunate we chose the game of golf, but she's made a major contribution to the game. And unfortunately, COVID shut down a lot of things that we want to do. We want to go and reminisce, and I wanted to go back to Augusta to tell the 30-year story, and at St Andrews, but we will still put it all in the can one day, because it's they made a huge fuss out. When Jordan Spieth won, did very similar his year, winning the Masters, nearly the US Open, and nearly at the Open. So it's very similar to mine. And and I said, hang on a minute, we did that 30 years ago. So I'm glad we're still friends, and we still try and see each other. We still now send silly texts. I tell her information from the golf tournament if I'm sitting there. She can get a weather update or screens or whatever it might be, or somebody's doing this. So yeah, we're still pretty well connected. Got a lot of good friends in Sweden.
Yeah, Nick is like a brother to me. I mean, it's like he's family. He's family to me, and he's meant so much to me, and always will do. So
yeah, we still got more ideas to do some fun things once we can get moving again. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
Yep.
So
great.
yeah.
Well, thank you for those wonderful reminiscences, and we look forward to getting you back and hearing about some of your future plans. So on behalf of the Asian Golf Industry Federation, Sir Nick Faldo, Fanny Sunesson, fabulous to have you with us. Many, many thanks for your time.
Sure, pleasure.
thank you, pleasure.
Well, I'm sure that you'll agree that that was a fantastic interview, and great to see that Sir Nick and Fanny's friendship is still going strong after all these years. This interview is posted on the AGIF and Faldo Design YouTube channels, and if you'd like to watch it again or refer it to any of your friends. We're scheduled to air Sir Nick's interview with Spencer on Faldo Design Philosophy on April 22nd at 8 p.m. Singapore time as a registered webinar before releasing it on YouTube. The webinar will be followed with a Q&A with Mark Adams of Faldo Design and Adam Calver of Laguna Lanco, who both can shed more light on Faldo Design's activities here in Asia and around the world. For more information of this webinar and other events, education and industry information, please log on to www.agif.asia, as well as our LinkedIn and Facebook company pages for more information. And if you're not already signed up, please sign up to our weekly newsletter to join the 10,000 plus industry contacts and receiving weekly industry update. Details can be found again on the AGIF website. Well, that's it for now. And on behalf of all of us at the AGIF, thank you for joining us and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.